What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is how do Europe and the United States compare? Good videos, aren't they, these ones?
Yeah.
You guys seem to love them. We sometimes get repetitive stuff, but we also sometimes get absolute gems which we never knew about.
Definitely.
This one's been suggested to us. I am a little bit under the weather today, aren't I? I've got a lot of phlegm, so if you see me, I'm probably going to be drinking a lot more water than usual, so I know I do normally have a few sips anyway, but that's going to be there, and that is why. But I am keen for this one. Recording's going to go on as well, because we enjoy it, don't we?
This should be an interesting one.
Smash that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. How do Europe and the United States compare? I think this is by general knowledge. I may be wrong, but the links will be in the description. But what should they do?
Like, subscribe, but only after the video, please.
Yeah, go over there, but only after the video.
Yeah.
But like and subscribe here before.
Oh, right, yeah.
You're half right.
Whatever order, as long as you do it.
Yeah, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and let us know in the comments before the video starts your biggest difference between Europe and the United States, what you've noticed, whether it's from previous videos or just think you've noticed if you've ever been to Europe. Let us know in the comments, guys, and let's get straight into it. How do Europe and the United States compare? What we got?
Europe. One continent, 44 countries, according to the UN, and 746 million people. The United States are part of North America, only one country with 329 million people, less than half of Europe. The United States are often compared to the European Union or Europe as a whole a lot of times. So in this video I thought it would be interesting to take a look at a few indicators and check how it is that they in fact compare. We've already covered a few of the basics, amount of countries and population, but what about size? The United States have an
all of Europe, not EU, because we're not in it anymore.
No.
I don't know when this video was made, but we're outside the
Europe,
EU now.
But we're not in the EU.
Yeah, which confuses some people, but it does
Although
make sense.
Jersey at the moment is still in the EU, no?
I don't know.
Jersey, I think, is not actually left yet.
I have no clue.
Which is bizarre.
The UK definitely has.
The UK has,
but maybe Jersey hasn't.
I'm sure there was a thing saying Jersey would take a couple more years because we're a bit slower after the UK. So it takes us a couple of years to actually do stuff.
Potentially. You might be right. I honestly just have zero clue, which is probably a bad thing because I live here, but it hasn't affected us, has it? Really.
No.
Area of around 9.8 million square kilometers, while Europe has a size of around 10.5
Not far
million.
off.
Although
Really?
this can vary depending on which limits you attribute to the continent. So now that we've covered all of those basics, let's jump into a few specific indicators and find out how the two compare. First, comparing the latitude. It's very interesting to see the overlay of the European cities on top of the US territory and vice versa. For instance, as stupid as it may sound, I had no idea Reykjavik was as further north as northern Canada. The same applies to Oslo. It makes sense that Portuguese and Spanish cities are on the same level as California, at least climate-wise, but it's weird, for instance, that Ankara is at the same level as Delaware. For some reason, I always thought it was so much further south. It's also strange to see that Los Angeles is on the same latitude as Algeria in North Africa, or that New York is at the same latitude as Azerbaijan. Speaking of Portugal, Spain, and California, how do the US and Europe compare when it comes to the hours of sunlight they get every year? Through this map, we understand that the Southwest USA gets more hours of sun than anywhere in Europe, over 3,500 a year. And
look how depressing the UK is. Actually, you know what? Look how depressing Scotland is.
Yeah, Scotland.
Scotland just gets no sunshine. UK's pretty depressing. I tell you
Jerseys, though, we're like half green, half blue, so we're doing all right.
Well, we're not on the map, are we?
No, but if you think, look at the bottom of England, look at the top of France, we're probably in the middle.
We're probably in the middle, aren't we? Sometimes green, sometimes. Very rude not to include Jersey, though.
Yeah, we're part of Europe. So
yeah, we're part of Europe. Nah, I'm joking. We're not actually that bothered.
No.
But yeah, you were born here. You're more human.
Look at California, though.
Oh, that's fair. Thing is, I say that's the heat you want just because we don't get much of it. But
it's not heat; it's just sunshine.
But I imagine it's hot sunshine.
Oh, of course, yeah, it is. But it could also be like just sunshine when it's still cold, but it's still the sun.
Potentially, that's a good point. I would prefer like the LA, California one, but I think if I lived in it, I'd prefer the UK one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, even the yellow is good.
Yeah, I expected some of the North America to be blues. Right, a few blues in there.
The thing is, look, Spain is only an orange. That means California, Los Angeles area must
way
be
more
disgustingly hot.
and a lot of sunshine.
Oof.
Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. But I'm very surprised there's no blue in America. That's pretty awesome.
Unlike Europe, there's nowhere in the US that gets less than 1800 hours of sun, as is the case in many areas of Europe, those in light green, blue, and dark blue. It's also odd, at least to me who isn't an expert on this matter, how the amount of hours of sun isn't directly related to the latitude of the region. I always assumed that the closer to the equator you are, the more hours of sun you get, but we can see on this map that this isn't the case at all, even though we can tell that usually southern areas get more sun. If you know which other factors determine hours of sun, let me know in the comments. Another interesting topic is human development. The United States and Europe are arguably two of the most developed areas of the world. This map compares the Human Development Index of each US state and each European country. In case you don't know, the HDI is calculated as the geometric mean of life expectancy, education, and gross national income per capita. Assuming that those indicators are representative of the quality of life of people, it seeks to measure precisely that. In the United States, there's only one state that doesn't make it into the top 3 HDI categories, Mississippi. When we look at Europe, only a handful of countries are in the top ranking: Iceland,
UK's
Norway,
Let's go.
Sweden, Ireland, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, and Switzerland. And when you look at Eastern Europe, these levels go significantly down, with many countries in the lowest category, such as Ukraine, Turkey, Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, and North Macedonia. In Western Europe, Portugal is the only country who isn't in the top 3 levels of HDI. A somewhat subjective comparison of these two areas is also depicted in this other map. This is based in a 2014 Pew Research Center poll. It's almost 10 years old, so the data might be somewhat outdated and no longer valid. Always keep that in mind for these types of videos where data and maps are presented. The data might not be 100% right, and it might be outdated. But in this one, people were asked if they are absolutely certain of God's existence. And the comparison of the results between the US and Europe is astonishing. The majority of US states...
I mean, we know, obviously, US is very religious, isn't it? Probably to be expected, them results in the South. Maybe I'd expected Texas to maybe...
I thought Texas would be blue.
But I guess there's potentially a lot of different heritage there, which maybe is less... you know what I mean, religious and stuff like that. Whereas the others have still got the South vibes, but there's less potential culture. Not less culture.
I'm only basing the Texas one off the fact that in the TV shows that I've watched, there's always been
a lot of it.
Texas, a lot of it is based on God and religion.
No, 100%.
Not based on it, but that is a background in the storyline.
Yeah, you're talking a lot like young Sheldon and stuff like that, aren't you? While that is true, again, let us know in the comments the main reasons.
But then it could be the same for anything, couldn't it?
I'm just guessing Texas gets a lot more, let's say, immigrants who potentially haven't got the religious ties as the locals, so that may bring it down, whereas maybe in Mississippi, Louisiana get less immigrants, so because it's not as big name, if that makes sense, not next to Mexico and stuff like that, so it stayed up there by the locals. That would be my logic, but please let us know the actual logic in the comments.
Over 50% of people being certain of God's existence, some even surpassing 70%. Those in dark blue. Only Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts have results under 50%, while most of Europe is much less certain in their belief of God. Most of the continent is in yellow, with only 10 to 29% being certain of their belief. Portugal, Poland, Slovakia, Lithuania, and Ukraine, along with Bulgaria, go up to 30 or 49%, but still not reaching over half of the population. The rest of the Balkans is more religious, but it's only Georgia and Armenia who reach the dark blue level. There's a few countries missing from this map, those in gray. If you have any idea of how religious they are, leave a comment below. Another interesting thing we can compare are age restrictions in the US and Europe. Age restrictions can be applied to driving, voting, tobacco, or alcohol purchases. Many of these change often, so be aware these might not be correct at the moment you watch. When it comes to driving, the US government allows people to drive at a much younger age. In South Dakota, it says you can drive at 4.
Okay, we zoom to that map. 17.
14 and 6 months. I would not trust a 14-year-old.
That is mental.
I would not trust a 14-year-old to drive.
Why in 6 months though? Like, just
suppose they're nearly halfway to 15, aren't they?
I get that, but why you just do 15? Like, why? I've never
17
known.
in the UK.
Yeah, but I got mine at 17. You got yours a bit later, didn't you?
I got mine at 19.
19, but I got mine at 17.
Well, actually, it was 19 then. It was my birthday like 2 days later, so actually, I just scraped it.
16 to 16 and 6 months. I don't get that.
So, like, maybe sometimes they think...
some states going to be 16 and 6 months. Some are just 16.
Yeah,
got it, it's just covering it. Okay, that makes sense, but...
18 in a lot of Europe. I didn't know that.
So that's South Dakota with a
I
14
thought
in 6
in
months.
France you could drive at 16. Maybe not.
Obviously not. I was with you, to be fair. I didn't realise UK was one of the sole 17 countries. I thought I think most places were 16, 17.
Yeah.
But 14 in 6 months?
17.
That is ridiculous. Let us know what you guys think about in the comments. That is
Ugh,
mental.
That is bizarre.
Mental.
14 years and 6 months? That's kind of crazy if it's true. The oldest driving age in the US seems to be New Jersey at 17. While in Europe, the vast majority of countries has a 18 years minimum driving age. Only the UK, Iceland, Hungary and Georgia have lowered it to 17. When it comes to voting, 18 is common all around. Only in Europe are there 2 countries that differ, Austria at 16 and Greece at 17. Although I'm not sure if these limits are the same for all types of elections.
Can you vote in 16 in Jersey,
as long as you're a Jersey resident.
There you go.
Jersey born, you can vote at 16.
There you go. More knowledge. Have facts.
I voted at 16.
Spitting facts.
It did nothing.
Tobacco purchase is technically only allowed over 21.
So you can...
You can drive at 14, but you have to smoke. You have to be 21.
That's what I was going to say.
It's 18, is it, in the UK?
I mean, I think people do it younger, but I guess to buy, you've got to be 18.
Right.
I mean, we don't smoke, do it? So...
I have no idea, but I always thought it was younger.
I guess to buy, maybe 18?
Yeah, maybe to smoke is 16, but to buy...
Yeah, it just say purchase.
Yeah, to purchase.
So I don't think there is any age for actually smoking.
Because it's like in the UK, you can't purchase alcohol to 18, but you can drink it at 15 if there's an adult in a bar.
Yeah, if you supervise. So maybe it's the same. Again, I've never smoked, so I'm fine.
In all of the US, while in Europe you can buy it at 18. Alcohol purchasing is also forbidden for people under 21 across the...
It's mental, isn't it? 21.
That's like a straight ban.
Yeah, I do like the fact that, because someone did say it's potentially to limit drink driving, they're less likely to do it. I like that, but
I mean...
Up the driving age.
Yeah, why are you making people drive at 14?
That is mental. Like, it was only South Dakota what did it, but South
also,
Dakota,
like, 18... Why can't you let your people drink at 18?
Yeah, like you say, you can go in the military, you can own guns, which isn't going to be on
but
this.
Like,
we're not going to get into that topic.
I'm not getting into this, right? But say you have a baby at 16, your baby will be 5 by the time you can actually legally drink.
Yeah. That is a very random comparison, but yeah.
But if you get married at 18, you can't even drink at your wedding.
Yeah, you got to wait. You just don't get married till 21. But the thing is, not everyone's that bothered about drinking, so maybe
they're not
bothered,
but I'm just saying, like, that's the mad...
It is quite mental. I am with you on that.
The United States, with the limit ages varying a lot across Europe, but none being higher than 18 or 20. Although again, this also varies depending on the type of alcohol. For instance, in Portugal, I think you can buy beer or wine as long as you're over 18, but other drinks do have a 20-year age limit, I think. When it comes to comparison between military, for instance, it's a difficult comparison to make. According to Wikipedia, the US Army has a personnel of around 1 million, counting active troops, reserves, and National Guard. And according to this 2018 article from Business...
Yeah, the EU. I think that all the stores, I think there's a certain amount represented everyone in it. We might as well be from the US. We know more about the US than the EU.
Insider, the top 5 strongest militaries in Europe, all of these maps exclude Russia, are France with 390,000, the UK 280, Italy 267, Germany 200, and Spain 175. Together, these alone would surpass the US Army, although you'd still need to take into account the material advantage of the US. Ships, intelligence, tanks, planes, investment, and in these the US has a considerable advantage, as we can see from this graph depicting the investment comparisons. But thankfully most of Europe and the US are allied through NATO, so a comparison isn't needed because in the event of a conflict it is very likely they would be on the same side. And what about an economic comparison? The United States and the European Union are the 2 largest economies globally in nominal terms. In recent years, only in 2011 did the European Union have a higher GDP than the US. Keep in mind this excludes non-EU Europe. The US's GDP per capita is 63,000, while in the EU it's 33. But keep in mind both of these are on average. There are EU countries and US states with higher and lower values. Also, as we can see from these maps, the US's GDP is mostly carried by California, Texas, Florida, and New York, while Europe's is mostly carried by France, Germany, the UK, Spain, and Italy. When it comes to currency...
So that was definitely before we left the EU, because we obviously don't carry that anymore in the EU bit, but We're carrying it on our own. We're going strong on our own.
Yeah, Boris is leading us somewhere. I'm not sure if it's up or down, but he's taking us somewhere for a ride.
$1.07. The euro's value has been higher, and recently its value has decreased a little, approaching parity with the dollar. As we can see from this graph, there was only a short period in the early 2000s when the euro was worth less than the dollar, and there was a point where it was almost worth 50% more. Recently things have stabilized and they're almost worth the same, but with Croatia joining the European currency next year, it might go up again. Also keep in mind, not all of Europe and not even all of the EU.
To be fair, wait, that said 2023, so yeah, it must have just, it meant Europe when he mentioned the UK, not the EU then, because he mentioned 2023, so yeah. We should have just checked the date of the video, to be fair.
Use the euro as their currency. Another interesting point to compare is the percentage of young people aged 18 to 34 that still live in their family's home. Meaning, in most cases, they do not yet have the financial stability to live on their
Hopefully
own.
Not.
Both of these maps have data from 2015, but from the most recent information I could find about this, the numbers haven't changed a lot. In Europe, Nordic countries have very low values. They're also the highest income areas, so it makes sense people can more easily afford to live on their own, but it might also have to do with the cultural element. In Southern Europe, the amount of young people still living at home is tremendous. 44% in Portugal, 37% in Spain, and 46% in Italy, for instance, while Greece, Bulgaria, and Slovakia are all above 50%. In the US, values are equally as high, with the difference being that there are no states at all below 10%. The lowest value is 14% in North Dakota, and the highest being in New Jersey with 46%, although none surpass 50%. These high values are usually connected with the fact that salaries do not pay enough, and the cost of living is way too high, both due to rising prices, inflation, and also other factors. So that is how the United States and Europe compare in a number of indicators and interesting aspects. There's a lot of things you can compare the two in. If you know of any more, leave a comment and I can always make a part 2 of this. It's always difficult to be fair in these comparisons. After all, the United States are a single country and Europe has around 44, but if you take into account that the US are a federal state consisting of 50 states, the comparison makes a little more sense, especially when the size of the two is similar. As we can see on this interactive map, the size of the US over Europe is pretty close, and as you saw in the beginning, the number of square kilometers are pretty close as well. In many ways they are similar, but in so many other big differences are visible, many of which signifying a great difference in the way that people live their life and the quality that life has. Thanks.
I enjoyed that. That was one of these videos which compare, but completely different to what we normally do.
Yeah.
I think all of them we hadn't really looked at before.
No.
And like you said, I think the main thing to take away is it's so similar in some aspects,
but so different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come from a language to anything really. It's like we speak the same language, but it's completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did you enjoy that?
It was good. Yeah, interesting.
Definitely. If you want to check out more, I think this is general knowledge videos. Let us know in the comments. He does awesome stuff like this. A little bit more education to just random facts in there, which is awesome as well because we get to learn. Hopefully you guys didn't mind that. Again, I've been under the weather, but I hope you guys didn't mind it. Smash that like button if you did. Smash that subscribe button. What should we do?
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.